This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview. Rob Scott, the Executive Director of AAAP, and Simon Phillips, the CEO of Comarco, join me today on Stockbox to talk about the RTO of the Comarco Group into AAAP. Rob, if I can come to you first, as we are moving down this RTO timeline as it gets closer and closer, what will happen once it's done and what opportunity will it unlock?
Morning, Mark. Thanks for having us on your show. Look, I think it's quite exciting, to be honest with you, is, glibly put, I think Comarco's the first step in a fairly long journey. I think, myself and Simon share the same sort of strategic view, is that the Comarco port and marine assets are but the start of a larger Pan-African marine and port business. To let you know, over the last couple of months, we've had discussions with a number of players in terms of sort of seeing if they're amenable to acquisitions. And there's most, without a shadow of a doubt, should I say, a number of people who actually believe in the consolidation to create this Pan-African business. So the upside is actually incredible. And I think what we want to do as a matter of urgency is, after the RTO, is actually start implementing the consolidation. You get, huge economies of scale, and you create an incredibly strategic asset base across the continent. And I think, as I've said before, the macroeconomic fundamentals of the continent are actually very much in its favor. And I think it's only going to, it will have a direct impact on the trade within the continent and elsewhere. So certainly from our point of view, I think it's the right investment at the right time. There's most definitely a tend towards a consolidation, and certainly having spoken to some of the independent operators around the continent, there's most definitely a move towards that. In fact, I sent a letter to a state-run port operator the other day regarding a tender and explaining that, due to our RTO process, we can't actually tender. I'm waiting for the response, but early indications is that they'll probably give us extra time to tender for this particular port. So, I think people, have seen our 40 plus years of experience. They've seen what we can do, and certainly would like to give us a chance to running some of the independent or some of these state-owned ports across the continent. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of excitement there.
Okay, good. And on the current market cap of AAAP is about £1 million, so it's very low. Do you feel this will be transformational once this RTO goes through for the company?
Oh, without a question of doubt. Just from a numbers point of view, the transaction with Comarco is an NAV-based business, and the reason it's NAV is, the African continent has had certainly 5-6 years of fairly subdued growth. As a result of the cyclical nature of the commodities, but that's certainly going to change, and certainly in the area that we're working on, and I'll let Simon talk about the investment, certainly in the gas in East Africa. But the transaction with Comarco is an NAV based transaction. I think we certainly have announced it's NAV less 20%. So certainly after the RTO, our market cap should be in excess of $20-25 million. So, it certainly changes the size of the business that we are now into something far more substantive, 20 to 30 times bigger. Okay, good. Now, Simon, then, if I can come to you, you're the CEO of Comarco, so you'll be responsible for the growth and opportunities there at the port. Once the RTO happens and the money comes in, how do you unlock the opportunities and how do you go for growth?
Good morning, Mark. I think at this stage, what I would like to do is just to focus on two particular aspects of the business where we can see the growth, and the two aspects which we've obviously been discussing at length with AAA. And the first goes around the port facility itself, and as explained previously, the other growth opportunity is with the marine fleet and the marine logistics. So I think if we take the port opportunity as it stands, traditionally the port has operated mainly as an oil and gas base. And over the past few years, what we've done is change the emphasis from solely oil and gas to treating oil and gas as a customer of the port rather than the sole focus. So what we've decided to do is to open up the port to operate as a more conventional port. In other words, to be able to handle general cargo, imports, exports, and transshipments. So we are now in the position where we have all of the licenses and all of the permissions to be able to do this. And what's interesting for us is that this is obviously what would be a new business. Although Comarco has been in business for 50 years now, this is a new line of the business which we can provide good growth and then solid revenue going forward. And the way to do this, as I've explained, is to operate as a pure port facility. So what we would be looking at doing is to put in a deep water berth at our existing port facility, which would enable us to handle vessels of up to 55,000 metric tons of cargo. So if we're able to put this berth in place, which we would expect to be able to do within a year or 18 months of the completion of the RTO, that would then enable us, as I said, to handle the vessels up to 55,000 metric tons. We would then expect to be able to load or offload approximately 4 vessels per month, which would allow 6 days for operations and then 24 to 48 hours for the next vessel to come in. So that would enable us to handle approximately 200 to 220,000 tons of cargo per month. And in terms of what we charge, we work together hand in hand with the port in Mombasa. So we would expect to receive approximately $10 per ton of cargo handled across the facility. And our projections and forecasts would mean that we would receive a GP of between 85 and 90% on that $10 per ton, based on between $200 and $220, 220,000 tons per month. So once we have this up and running, this would be a regular business which would be generating cash on a regular basis for the foreseeable future.
So there are lots of plans in place then as soon as this RTO goes through, and there's a significant opportunity here then, would you say, Simon?
Mark, yes, for sure. I mean, it's, as I said, all the licenses and permissions are now in place. We've been working on those for the past couple of years. It does take a little bit of time because this is effectively a unique opportunity. This is the first private port facility of its kind with these permissions, which is operating in East Africa. So because it's a new concept and a unique concept, it has taken a little bit of time to make sure that we have all of our regulatory and statutory permissions and licenses in place. We now have those and we're ready to operate. So once we complete the RTO, we are then in the position to raise the capital to build a deep water berth and to get started on this new journey and business stream for Comarco.
Okay, sounds very promising. Rob, if I can just come back to you for a final thought, can you give us any idea on timelines for this RTO to complete or not yet?
Mark, look, I'm always reticent to give definitive timelines because I'm relying on third parties, but we're quite clear in terms of what our deliverables are. Obviously, those deliverables will change in terms of feedback from both the auditors and the UKLA. But certainly, I mean, our intention is the next 2 to 3 months to have it over the line. So that's really what we're aiming for.
Okay, I guess the main reason for my point was you're not hanging around. You are keen to get this over the line as soon as possible and crack on, really.
Oh, look, absolutely. Look, it's all hands on deck. I mean, all that's really sort of outstanding are literally 5 items, which are to a certain extent process driven. And then, once those have done, it's a capital raise, which is always the unknown. But everything else is a known, and it's a process-driven issue. So, it shouldn't take too long. And then, hopefully we'll get to a position whereby, the commitments that we've received in terms of capital raise are sufficient from the working capital review, and then we're good to go.
Okay. Well, Rob Scott, the Executive Director of AAAP, and Simon Phillips, the CEO of Comarco, thank you both very much for your time.
Thanks, Mark. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening to this Stockbox interview. For more information, interviews and videos, visit our website at stockboxmedia.com or give us a follow on Twitter by searching @StockboxMedia.